Chapter 1. An Unexpected Trip. To help set the scene for the rest of this book, we're going to do something a bit unexpected. I'm a big fan of what NLP refers to as pattern interrupts, doing something unusual to shock people into behavioural change. For that reason, would you mind falling down your stairs, please? In your imagination only, please do not actually throw yourself down the stairs. That would be foolish. I'm pretty good at painting a picture with words, but I'm not liable if you willingly choose to throw yourself down your stairs. That's right. I'd like you to imagine that you are walking down your stairs first thing one morning when you have a fall. Maybe your foot caught on one of the steps. Perhaps the thought of your morning coffee momentarily distracted you as you were placing your foot down. Or maybe, and more likely, you're not quite sure what happened. All you do know for certain is that you are now lying in a crumpled heap at the bottom of your stairs, somewhat shocked to find yourself in such an unusual and uncomfortable position. As you begin to recover from the initial shock, you try to do a quick mental assessment of your body to determine whether it's safe for you to try to move. You know that you didn't bang your head, and your hips are both feeling okay, so after a few more seconds of contemplation, you begin wriggling yourself into a more composed position. This is not easy to do in such a limited space, so it takes a few heaves and grunts and muttered words under your breath before you are able to get yourself moving. You shuffle yourself into a sitting position, then begin trying to stand. If somebody was watching you do this, it would look more comical than elegant. As you raise yourself, you quickly realise that your left ankle is feeling a bit odd. In fact, as you think about it more, you notice that it is really very painful indeed, particularly as you place more weight onto it as you continue to stand. Despite this unexpected pain, you somehow manage to pull yourself into a half-standing, half-hopping position and cling firmly to the banister for support. After a few half-hearted attempts to put your left leg down more firmly on the floor, you determine that you won't be able to put any weight on your left leg for a while because it causes too much pain in your ankle. In fact, as you look at your ankle, you're pretty sure it's looking bigger than usual, almost like somebody has inflated it, just like they would have a balloon. At this point, you realise that whatever plans you had for the day have been scuppered. No morning coffee for a start, darn it. Even though you try to second-guess yourself and attempt to come up with excuses not to do this, you realise that you're going to need to go to the local hospital to see if you've, big breath, broken anything. Whether you're able to get your partner, your husband or wife, a neighbour or a friend to give you a lift, or you need to arrange a taxi to take you there, you know that your next stop is going to be the hospital. This was not on your daily schedule, and it is most definitely an unwelcome change to your day. Somehow you manage to hobble from the stairs to your front door, then down your front path and onto the pavement, whereupon you fall into the car with all the grace of a toddler trying to walk on ice. Although your entry into the car was far from graceful, you're just happy to be sitting down and able to rest your ankle. During the drive, it's all you can do to stop crying out in pain because your ankle is just so painful. Every bump in the road causes a sharp stab of pain to shoot around your ankle. During the journey, you try to remember and make sense of exactly what happened. As you attempt to fit the different pieces of your memories together, you begin to wonder if you heard a snap or cracking noise in your ankle as you fell. The more you think about it, the more convinced you become that you did in fact hear a noise as you fell, and not just a thump as you hit the floor. It was definitely a sharp cracking noise. Well, that can't be good, can it? Welcome to the hospital. Please wait. The car pulls up as close to the hospital entrance as possible, and you manage to extract yourself from it, then start slowly hobbling your way through the door to the accident and emergency department. As you gingerly make your way to the reception desk, you're somewhat relieved to see that there isn't a queue. However, you can't help noticing that there are a number of people already sitting in the waiting room chairs. Actually, there seem to be quite a few of them. Many of them look like they've been there a while. Blank stares, eyes half closed. Some of them look like they could well be fast asleep. As you finally make it all the way over to the reception desk, why do they not put them nearer the door, you wonder? You're grateful to be able to lean on the counter and take the weight off your left leg once more. You're in pain. You're still recovering from the shock of the fall. All you want is to get seen and treated as soon as possible, to be out of pain and back to normal again. Is that too much to ask? So, what happens now? Before anything else happens, the receptionist will need to book you in. They'll take a few details, like your name, address, and contact number. They may also ask who your GP is, and then finally they will ask why you are here. After that, you will probably be asked to take a seat and wait to be called. As you hop your way across to the nearest chair, you take the opportunity to have another look at the people already sitting in the waiting room. You quickly realise that you might be in for a bit of a wait. Sigh. You can see a young man pressing an ice pack to his head. An older lady is sitting tenderly supporting her wrist, which looks a quite unusual shape. Nearly everybody is staring into space, seemingly resigned to the wait of unknown length until they are seen. Assessment. By necessities, hospitals have structured, well-planned systems in place to help them prioritise the people they see and treat. This is known as triage. As a deliberately extreme example, to show how this works in practice, a person suffering a heart attack or stroke will understandably need to be seen much more quickly than somebody who has merely stubbed their toe. Life-threatening emergencies will always jump to the top of the priority scale. The medical professionals in the hospital will use the information taken by the receptionist during your check-in process and then use their expertise, experience and clinical judgment, as well as certain best practiced protocols, to triage people quickly and effectively. This is all a process. It is deliberate, planned by experts, reviewed regularly, updated as necessary, streamlined for maximum efficiency. But it is, and always will be, a process. Remember this because we'll be thinking about processes quite a bit in this book. In the UK, when you visit an accident and emergency department, you will often be seen first by an A&E nurse. They will talk with you further about your problem and any symptoms you have. They'll normally ask about your previous medical history and whether you are on any medication. A&E nurses are usually very experienced, and their role in seeing you is to narrow down a potential diagnosis. In your case, with your painful ankle, they may also arrange for you to have an X-ray to see if anything has broken. Diagnosis. Once the nurse has seen you, you will probably have another wait before you are seen by an A&E doctor. At this point, they may well have a preliminary diagnosis in mind. They will talk with you about your symptoms and review what the nurse previously discussed with you, often going through the same questions about your symptoms and whether you are currently on any medication. Although at first this may look like a very inefficient way of assessing people, this deliberate duplication between the nurse and doctor is all part of a pre-planned process, there's that word again, to ensure nothing gets missed or overlooked at any stage. Assuming you've already had an X-ray of your ankle, previously arranged by the nurse, the doctor may now be able to give you an accurate diagnosis of the problem. Unfortunately, it turns out that you have broken your ankle, well, the lower end of the tibia, one of the bones in your lower leg that help form the ankle joint. Again, please don't panic. This is only an imaginary story. What kind of marketing book has you imagining you've broken your ankle? You wouldn't get this kind of thing in a book called How to Be a Marketing Ninja and Go from 0 to £1 million in under a year. Treatment. It is important to realise that you will only receive treatment once a diagnosis has been made. If you had hobbled into the hospital and immediately been directed onto a hospital bed, then wheeled through the corridors directly into an operating theatre, where the anaesthetist strapped a mask to your face as the surgical team waited to operate on your ankle, how would you have felt? Alternatively, if you'd spoken to the nurse about your ankle pain and they had then started examining your eyes or testing your hearing, would you have felt confident in their ability to help you? I hope your answer to the two questions above would be an emphatic no. You would obviously want the person in charge of your treatment to know exactly what they were treating. And this can only come after a thorough investigation, looking at your symptoms and the results of any diagnostic tests to make a diagnosis. Remember, diagnosis first, treatment second. If you get those the wrong way around, you'll quickly be in trouble and in pain for longer. Recovery. Once a diagnosis has been made and treatment has been planned, somebody will explain the recovery process to you, letting you know what to expect. You may need to use crutches for a while, or to have your ankle stabilised by bandages or plaster. Because you needed surgery on your ankle, physiotherapy will be a must to regain as much strength, function and range of movement as possible. Here's the most important point to remember. Recovery is an essential part of the healing process. If you try to rush your recovery, you may end up causing more extensive, longer lasting, and harder to treat damage to your ankle. What does this have to do with business? While this entire story has been imaginary, I wanted to walk you clearly through each part of the medical emergency process for a very specific reason. The different stages of your medical journey, injury, assessment, diagnosis, treatment, recovery, are the same ones we are going to use as we explore your business and marketing throughout the rest of this book. By applying these different stages to a business, you'll be able to see the correct process you need to go through to ensure healthy marketing and a healthy business. Each step is very deliberate and needs to be worked through in the correct order. Can you imagine how chaotic healthcare would be if these stages were carried out in a different order? For example, recovery, treatment, diagnosis, assessment, injury. That order would be absurd in healthcare. Yet similarly confused processes, and even more confused ones, exist in many marketing departments around the world, as we shall see later in this book. As you read this book, you will notice the very clear and very deliberate parallels between healthcare and the health of your business. I know that the metaphor is an imperfect one, but I've chosen to use it in order to make my points more memorable. By using the healthcare framework and applying it to business, we'll hopefully be able to see how to improve business health. With that, an important caveat. I do not expect you to agree with everything said in this book. As the old saying goes, if we both agreed on everything, one of us would be unnecessary. So feel free to disagree with me if you'd like. I will not take it personally. And as I said at the very beginning of this book, I am most definitely not a marketing guru whose every word is infallible. Agree with me or disagree with me, it's all okay. But my hope is that as you read this book, you will be able to think about marketing and business in a different way. A better way. A healthier way. So let's find out what exactly is meant by healthy marketing.